They don't wanna see me rise, no. They just wanna see me fall. When I've been giving my all, I'm just gonna do it my way.
Hey everybody, this is Muad'Dib, bringing you a video on a couple Gen plugins. These are in my Git for the tools and parsers, and I'm going to include a link in the description. These are made for Gen version 1.5 template and higher add-ons. The reason is because this makes use of the DOM parser, which was added in version 1.5. And also the changes to the sources.py for YouTube embed and YouTube shortened link resolving built within Gen. That way the plugins didn't have to convert YouTube URLs back over to the YouTube plugin version URL. So wanted to go over these with you, kind of show you what's possible here. These are both scraper plugins, alright, for Documentary Heaven and Top Documentary Films, the two websites. They have a lot of great content. It's all, or I don't want to say all the content I've looked at on them has been public domain or free content, linking a lot to Dailymotion, Vimeo, however you want to pronounce it, YouTube, different places like that. Documentary Heaven has some that are linked to a lot other places, and I had to filter a lot out because the domains aren't supported by Resolve URL or URL Resolver, so I had to filter them out in it. And I'm going to go over the code with you, kind of explain it. Hopefully y'all can pick up on it. It gives you some ideas for your own plugins. And explains a few things about them. Alright, I'm gonna go on down here. If you notice, you just drop it in. The examples are below, and I do include examples for all categories on both sites at the time of publish anyway. So that being said, you can literally take the usage examples, drop them in an XML for your Gen add-on, whether it's public, private, whatever, and you're going to have all the content that it can pull from the sites right there. And it's that simple. But these were done more as an example. I wanted to do documentary plugin myself, and I have released one. It is in my repo called Top Documentaries, and that's it. It's simple. It does use both of these plugins. You can use both of these in the same add-on. You can use them in the same menu file if you want, but I've got mine separated out. Mine's for showing off what the plugins can do, and using it. See if it's for you. Alright, so we go down through the categories here. As you can see, there's quite a few in Documentary Heaven. Alright, and the import code. Here's the primary links for the scraper. Now, if you notice, like I mentioned, in Documentary Heaven, I said, there's a lot of domains that aren't currently supported by the resolvers natively, and I didn't want to have to put in my own resolve code in the plugin. It just makes it overkill. There's no need. So that's what this variable right here is. It's a list of all those domains. Alright, and up here is ones that it can take the regular URL and put it in the link, which I'll show you in a minute where that's at, and Gen will auto convert it from a Dailymotion link to being playable because of URL result, or because of the Resolve URL and the Gen core automatically converts these domains here. As you can tell, it's got vidsy.tv, and that is thanks to Resolve URL that's automatically converted. Same with vidAG, or YouTube, a few others. Alright, so, and I even, if anybody wants to give a crack at the resolvers to add them, I left examples of the video that used it from the list up here. So, JSurge, whoever's working on a resolver, you can even look at these. This will give you a live example that's going to be there for a long time, or should be. Alright, just handles the category. I haven't added search yet or anything like that. Like I said, this was kind of an example. I wanted to show you all what it could do, and at the same time wanted to do a documentary section. So here's the category function for displaying the categories. All right. First thing I do is I pull out my DH category tag. For example, if that's what I use up here to split it out from the examples. All right. If I look up here, you got your doc hub element. Then I start out with that so that it knows it's a category. Alright, and you're going to notice I always pre-pin my stuff with a shorthand for the add-on, or for the plugin, I'm sorry. And there's a reason for that. By doing this, if I end up with a URL that contains part of that name, it could mess up the way I've written my plugin. The way things get split off. And this is a safeguard for that. Make it unique. Doesn't even have to be the word category. I could have made it the name, whatever, and I could have made it, Tantrum or Mwadi, whatever. Doesn't matter. But that's why you always see me pre-pin these, because I know I've had somebody ask me why I do that. So it processes it, and then it goes down into here, pulls that category off, and the way I've written this is the category URLs are the full URL, and that last part is what I use in the link for documentary here. So that way all it has to do is pull this part off, which is what you see with the replace, and the rest of it is just the rest of the regular base URL. If you see here, I combine what's left with the documentary category list URL, and it's that simple. It's clean, it's quick, it's easy, and if they add a new category, you can just click on the link in your browser and see what that last part is, and that's what you need to use in your XML. Alright, so it does that, pulls in the content, and then it searches it for article. Alright, now after it pulls all that in, it just cycles through it, and there's really only going to be, I think, one article entry in the HTML, so I don't know why I did the for loop. Probably because I just wasn't paying attention. But I'll go through here. The title's real easy to pull, so I use regular regex instead of the DOM parser, which, as you can see, is right here. Alright, and the reason for using that DOM parser is it's kind of like reading that XML. In an XML, like your title link in your gen XML, you've got title with the greater than, less than around it. Then you have the / title at the end of your line, at the end of your title. DOM parser will read the HTML in that manner. So, like if I point it to a div, a specific div of a class, whatever, it pulls it to the end of that div section, and all the content in between is what is pulled that you can work with as part of the variable. And so that's why that is so important. That's why DOM parser is so important. Regex, it pulls sections. This will pull the entire content between a specific start tag and an end tag, and it'll do it recursively. So if there's 6 of them in there, it'll pull all of them and put it in a list for you. Alright, if you only want the first one, then you just put the bracket 0 in bracket there, like that, just like regex, and it'll pull just that first one for you, or display just that first one. Alright, now you gotta do the regex for the title, because regular expression is extremely fast compared to DOM parser. Alright, yes, we added DOM parser to the gen template. Don't overuse it, because you can do overkill, very simply put. So if you can do it with regex, by all means do it. You could do 5 regex statements to pull 5 different things, And that's going to be much faster than doing a DOM parser to pull that content and they do just 1 or 2 regex. Alright, it's going to be so much faster that way. So as you can see here, I pull the title down here, same way. Then I process it because they got some weird stuff on the site, so I'll process it. For docu summary, that's the text on the website. That's the excerpt, where it gives you a summary of the video. So I pull that and I put that in the XML that's being generated for each video when it's going down through the category, so that it shows up just like metadata would in your add-on. Pulls the icon same way using regex. Alright. Then it pulls the URL to the web page. Now, normally I do if it's all a specific content, like all from YouTube or all from another site, I won't do this next step in the plugin. But in this one, I go ahead and create a link XML rather than building the player myself, because there's so many different hosts. So I just let Jen handle that. In order to do that, just like with a lot of your scrapers for like Covenant, Universal Scrapers, Placenta, Death Streams, all those, it then loads the web page for that individual video and processes it. So it pulls all the primary stuff off that main page because it's quick, it's easy. It's just some quick regex and the code's already there from the website, so I go ahead and process it. So now I'll load the HTML from the actual video page. And then, as you can see here, I checked for 2 different type of URLs on there because different pages do have it stored differently. They changed the way they were doing it after so many videos, and this picks up both ways. First, it tries for the most common, which is a meta property in the header of the HTML called embed URL, which has the direct link. That's what you need. If it doesn't have that, of course it throws an exception, but we have the try except here, so it catches that. So I know that if it throws an exception, that's not up there. Alright, if you see, I got the 0 because it should only be 1. So if that throws the exception, I go ahead and pull it the hard way, which is the other way they do it, which is the iframe source. So it's kind of simple. I do use DOM parser for that. I probably, for both of these, could get away with regex. In fact, I know I could, but I didn't. I may change that out down the road, I don't know. But as you can see here, it's quick and easy, bam. And then I'm looking for a meta property with the attributes of item prop that equals embed URL, and then it returns the content entry. Alright, so just to kind of give you an example, basically in the HTML, let me type it out here for you. It's going to look like this here: meta item prop equals embed URL, content equals I like ice cream. Alright, so in your HTML, there's going to be a line like this. It's a meta, so that's what I'm looking for there. Got item prop, which is the attribute that I want it to equal. Excuse me. And then I want that item prop to equal embed URL. So that's what this whole thing stands for. And normally you can end them here and it returns all that content that comes after that. But since I told it to return content, or to return the entry called content with inside the tag, it's going to return this right here. Now without return content, This would return, like on a div, you know how you have an open and a close in a div, uh, where your divs will look like this here. You got div, text, and tags, etc. here, and then you've got that slash div here. Alright, without this return, without this part, DOM parser will give me all of this. Alright, since I use return, or what I call return, the RET, since I use this, it's going to look for this tag inside that, and that's what it's going to return. So for example, in the div, if I put well, let's just add item prop equals what, and I set this ret to item prop, and this is a div, then it's going to return not this, but it's going to return this, because it's looking inside that for the return. Alright, I hope that explains that part a little bit to you about the DOM parser and why that can be so handy, because you can tell it to return specifically everything between this open bracket and its closed bracket, or you can use it to return, for example, the href inside the a link, rather than all the stuff between the that would be clickable as a link. It'll give you something with inside that property, so it does make it a little bit better that way. Down here, of course, you know, it checks it. Some of them don't have HTTPS prepended, so it just checks it, make sure it's there. And then down here is where I handle the different hosts. You know, as I mentioned up here, there was the different ones. Alright, so first it checks for YouTube. If YouTube's in that URL, then checks to see if video series, which is a weird URL I've encountered of YouTube's that they use, it builds this XML based on it. Alright, otherwise, if it doesn't contain video series, that means it's an embed or a direct playlist. Then it pulls the video ID from it, and it builds this part here, and then puts it in there. Alright, so that's one way it's a little bit different. Alright, now then it checks, well, okay, it wasn't YouTube. YouTube wasn't in it. So then it sees if archive.org/embed is part of the URL for the video. And if it is, it processes it here, how it shows up at their website, and then adds the XML for it right here. Now this code here, if it's not archive, it's not YouTube, it's going to see, hey, is anything that's in the reg items, which is other known URLs that are part of Resolve URL and that work, like vidztv, if any of those, and it checks them one at a time, are in document URL, it builds it out right here. If you notice, it does zero processing. It says, hey, are any of those from reg items in the document URL? And they are, then it just builds the link, period. In the XML, it doesn't process it like these do right here, or right here. Alright, that's it. And then it has one last check. If it's not any of those, it sees it if it's in the unregistered items, which is the ones that are broken that don't currently work with Gen or Resolve URL. Alright, and if that's the case, it just continues on. It adds nothing to your display, and it continues on to the next item in the loop to look at the next video. Alright, and if it's not in those, and it's not in anything above that, then it will give the user a prompt that says, hey, this is an unknown host, and it gives them the URL. And what that does, you can remove that code, but what this else does is it lets the user know that one's unplayable. It tells them what the URL is. so that they can report it back to whether it's me, whether it's you, and they can tell you, hey, I'm seeing this in here. And you can ask them, well, what videos were on the page when you were looking at it? And they can tell you, and it's easy to find that way. Or they can just tell you the category they were in, music or whatever, and it makes it easier for you to find it and work on fixing that. All right. Now, of course, then down here, it looks to see if there's a next page element. So it can display the next page down at the bottom. All right. And that's it. That's all there is to this plugin. All right. Again, this is Documentary Heaven. Now, if we look at Top Docs, it's going to be the same thing. If you notice here, it's all the categories here, and I did list all of them that were there to date. And if you notice, it's just got the one item down here for process item, TD category, and then it processes it. The two sites are almost identical on their backend code, so the processing, as you're seeing here, is pretty much identical. The only difference is I didn't use the arrays here like you've seen in the other one, the reg items and unreg items, because Top Documentary Films doesn't use as many sources, so there's very few on there, so I didn't add that. Now, just so you know as well, I did Top Documentary first and then Documentary Heaven, which is why Documentary Heaven's a little bit better written. I did them both within 24 hours. So I went straight from one to the other, just as, messing with it, seeing how it would go. And that was the end result. There's still little things that can be done to it to make it better. I'll let you all go over the code, see what you think, see what you can figure out that would work a little bit better. I already gave you the idea to use regex at the one place instead of the DOM parser when it's pulling the document URL. And there are some other places in there, little ones I didn't mention, where the code can be improved. And if you look at some of my other Gen plugins, you'll notice that I'm doing things differently in each one, and you'll be able to pick up different things from each one and put it together if you really pay attention, which is why I do it. Aside from my own learning doing the plugins and learning Python and some of the better ways to do things, I leave them in there different, hoping you all, when you're comparing them, will see the difference and look into it yourself so you can learn from that. Because honestly, that's how I learn most of my programming. I'm self-taught, know over 6 different programming languages, and the reason is because I like looking at the same thing as far as code that does the exact same thing, but they do it different. And then I like to learn why it does it differently and why it works that way. And so that's what I'm doing with these plugins. If you've noticed, I've done like 4 anime plugins for 4 sites that display pretty much all the same content, just different hosts. And so the content is stored at different places as well. And I did each one a little bit different. There's little bitty things in there that are different. So it helps you see that as well. And that was kind of the drive behind that. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and end this video. I may do one on my main channel for the Top Documentary add-on, but that'll be on the main channel, not on the developer channel. So if you want to check it out, just keep an eye open. I may upload that in the next day or two, so y'all can see that in action. I'm going to be going over some of my other plugins for Gen, so that you can see them, see how they work, or why they work, and just kind of get you introduced to them. So hopefully I can get back to getting more videos made soon, and get everything taken care of for y'all. So if you have any questions, as always, email in the description. You can hit me up in the comments. You can hit me up in Telegram. I am now in the Telegram chat for Gen as well. So if you're needing help, you can even join that chat. I can help you get into there. So can the Butcher and Blue. They have the invite links as they're the admins there. so they can help you get in there as well. So that's going to be it for this video. I hope y'all picked up on something. Can make use of these add-ons and or these plugins for your add-on if it's content that you or your family want. So y'all have a great evening. I hope y'all have a great weekend. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you liked it, be sure to leave a comment down below, click like in the corner, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much.